Welcome everyone to the first session of Computer Games and Hellscaping of the Unreal Engine, taught by Václav Janoščík. Gaming is ever more important, not only as a cultural form in industry, but also in the art world and contemporary philosophy. This workshop thematizes the main aspects of this growing medium while avoiding its mere assimilation into art or discourse by focusing not on its current forms or narratives, but on its very design. The workshop will introduce Unreal Engine, its basic features and components, in a broader context of media culture and philosophy. We will get from the basics of gaming theory, Galloway, to more political edges of the virtual space, to identity play, Patterson, while featuring guests like Ondřej, Trhoň, and Quicho. The workshop will experiment with what the virtual space of gameplay means for us, moving from the dialectics of hellscape and pastoral garden in the first session through dystopian realism of shooter templates in the second, and the final dialectics of play and identity in sessions 3 and 4. In the background of this direction is a post-Marxist account of the game as the medium of the empire. Students will work themselves with Unreal Engine to create a working mod of Lyra's shooter game with base cap functionality and their own map plus adjustments, and a basic walking simulator in a prepared environment with event triggers and subtitle text. The workshop is designed to get the most from Unreal Engine without any prior experience, focusing on the ability to use its already existing assets. Our instructor, Václav Janoščík, is a pedagogue, theorist, and curator, currently teaching at Academy of Fine Arts, Film and TV School, and Academy of Arts, Architecture and Design in Prague. He edited several volumes on problems of contemporary thinking, ranging from new materialism, speculative realism, acceleration, future studies, and media theory. Object 2015, Reinventing Horizons 2016, Mind in Terrain 2018. Last year, he published the book Non-Sleeping in 2018, giving a highly personal account of social acceleration and abstraction. I pass the mic to our instructor, Václav.
Thank you. I see there's some old information, but that's fine. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy that you are here. It seems like there's 17 of us, which is really a lot considering this is a relatively special course on Unreal Engine and theory, or what I kind of call contemporary theory, as opposed to, let's say, traditional critical theory, or even as opposed to like philosophy, both continental and analytical. And so just for the start of this lesson, let me elucidate that for me, the experiment that we are going through right now is whether actually we can understand contemporary theory in a new way through the lens of game engines and gaming cultures. Okay, I'll try to formulate some sort of like overarching questions every other session. Anyway, I hope you all are familiar with this basic file that I still just fill with informations. What is most interesting, I guess, is the short plan. Today, we are supposed to actually chew through the Ingo Nierman's short text Society of Games. Maybe we'll talk about the monadic age in general. I also uploaded to our drive. Oh, sorry, I don't have my drive on this computer, but maybe Anandya can help me and post the link on the chat, but I think you all have access to that drive. I already uploaded also like 2 of my texts. I was kind of hesitant concerning that, like concerning, I don't know, pushing you to read my own things, but then I realized it really is in sync with what we are doing. So I'm about to start my Substack, and the first texts are actually about second screen philosophy, a sort of quasi-methodology of theory production after the internet, and then figurative theory, which is partially what we are gonna do with things like Alex Quicho, but even Ingo Nierman's monadism and the idea that we are living in post-liberal society when we are the monads and the ego tribes and we are the orsis. And you may know what these very weird terms actually mean if you actually read the short essay Society of Games. Then hopefully we'll jump right into Unreal Engine. And hopefully in the end, we'll, of course, like after some sort of discussion, we'll get even to actually define figurative theory. And for that, I will actually use my Miro. Sorry, I haven't really logged in there earlier. But yeah, that'll come. Anyway, oh, yeah. Just to have you some sort of advertisement or something to look forward to, we'll delve into this galaxy of mine, and I think we'll start in the middle with what is actually girls tech and what is boys tech. Okay, hope maybe even what are the connections to classical critical theory and philosophy, like Michel Foucault or Bernard Stiegler, Gilbert Simondon. But I'm maybe even more intrigued by how does that relate to the philosophy or theoretical tradition of feminism. So maybe we'll even contextualize it with people like, Griselda Pollock, Audre Lorde, Laura Mulvey, or even John Berger, and maybe even Emma Goldman. So that's just some nice things to look forward to. In the second session, we'll hopefully that one should revolve around the idea of dark forest theory of the internet. And you may be well familiar with that, and hopefully we'll get even to social dissonance or dystopian realism. The third session hopefully will revolve around Alex Quicho, and we'll delve a tiny bit more into what is actually, what are we becoming online as girls. And the fourth will be more tightly connected with identity as play, and finally something like from game studies literature, particularly Christopher Patterson's Open World Empire. Sorry for this, recap, but maybe important even when there's some new people, as I believe. And what we should do now. Maybe I'll actually ask you what do you think about the course in general? What have you gathered last session? What are your preferences? Maybe some of you who have not, I don't know, introduced yourself and your attitude to gaming, maybe you should have the opportunity now and tell us what's your avenue to game development and theory production. And then we need to have some sort of planning and decisions, because as I said earlier, I am always like incredibly open to what the students actually want, what you would benefit from. So we need to decide mainly on the guests, and then whether you actually agree with the reading that I've selected, or whether actually you would like to, for instance, elucidate something from the non-obligatory parts. We have, apart from Strickler, we have Bogna Konior, we have Matan and his Social Dissonance, a book from Urbanomic, or we have Emmy Ireland and Maja Beck-Ronic's Cute Accelerationism next to Alex Quicho, maybe even Anna Kornbluch and Immediacy or the Cell of Too Late Capitalism. These are all the options that I really found very compelling and somehow maybe not directly related to gaming and Unreal Engine, but really pertinent to contemporary theory. And let's see if those two things actually somehow connect. So these are the decisions we should take. Just bear that in mind, and at least in the end of today's session, I will ask you, and hopefully we'll decide the path we go. I will try to, yeah. Okay. I will try to follow the chat. So if you have any questions, you can always just, you don't even have to raise hands. You can just talk or you can use the chat. I really hope this is gonna be like a, mutual project and interaction. And I really don't want to kind of have a lecture. That being said, I've already talked about my Substack text. I somehow I reviewed the work of Leo Fan, and I really have to recommend that. So one of the options we could even take is to watch his video, My Favorite Primitive. I would love. I would prefer to actually watch it like in our free time or in our private time because it's 37 minutes and we would lose them now just passively watching. So it may, for me, actually the best way how to deal with that is actually in upcoming 2 weeks. Please use this link. Don't share it. It's a private or it's a dark forest, link. And watch the movie. It's amazing. And we'll discuss it like in 2 weeks in another session. Okay. So now, any questions insofar as the program and planning goes? Any introductions that you want to add on top of what has been said last week, or sorry, in last 2 weeks?
Hi there. I wasn't able to attend the open session. My name is Yarina. I don't really have a background at all in gaming or in any of this, but I'm happy to be in this workshop and hopefully to become a bit familiar with all that you mentioned.
Amazing. Yeah. No background at all is the good background here. Anyone else wants to add his or her bit? And of course, you can just even add like what is your even like potential interest in gaming? Whether you actually want to just have one workable prototype of a game and then see where it goes, or whether, I don't know, you really want to have, you're doing theory and you really want to have something more practical and tangible on your hands rather than just a theory about technology or 3D. Just tell me anything, and I have my second laptop here, and I will try to actually put some notes and still keep up with what your interests are.
Yes. Hi, sorry.
Yeah.
Can
Hello.
you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Anya, and yeah, I'm same. I don't really have a background in gaming. I have ADHD, so I can't get into games very much. So, but I'm really intrigued by the visuals. I'm a visual artist, and I'm starting to work with AI, and I'm thinking also about Utopia as a game. So it's almost as if it's like thinking about like organizing my ideas around that, and also around like utopia or the pastoral and then dystopia. So I'm just intrigued by that. And yeah, it's the visuals mainly. I don't know if I'll have time or the energy to actually figure out how to use the software, but I'd like to try. So just to like see what is available. So that's it. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nick. I've been at New Center for a while, taking a little break and coming back to finish my final project. I come from performance. I'm also a writer and I do drag, and I kind of combine those all together in kind of like mock gaming environments. I'm working on creating a very large scale game that's kind of tied into my final project, which is kind of imagining game space as a way of holding or facilitating an archive of performance works. I was really drawn to the course because I know this is so weird, but I know a lot of the guests and have worked with them in different capacities. So seeing them all together, I was really interested in how what I can kind of glean from this, and I think it's kind of a missing piece in where I'm trying to get to with my final project. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, we'll see. As I tried to really elucidate earlier, or like in the first session or zero session, we will have to do some sort of matchmaking. We will really have to somehow, balance the various levels of, knowledge about either current theory or actually game development or the Unreal Engine and the games themselves. So for me, it's going to be really this deathmatch of the three angles, like the actual software of UE5, gaming cultures, and theory. And sorry that it may kind of be even more chaotic because of this weird structure, but we will try to kind of revolve and take into consideration all three peaks of the angle. Okay, anyone else? Just initial comments.
Hi, I'm Zichun, and I also was in the last session. And I guess I've only been gaming for a year since last summer because my boyfriend assembled a desk computer and I started to play. So I've been playing some RPG games and I'm especially interested in horror and puzzle solving because previous to this I was interested in detective fictions and stuff. And yeah, I guess my expectation for this course is that on one hand, I want to get a taste of the UE, actually the practical bit, because I've been like, because when we were very young, we used to draw these little games on the notebook and play with our classmates, like in primary school. And recently, I've been drawing some kind of stuff like a world building, and I'm excited to try to adapt it into like real visual instead of just being on notebook. So that's probably the reason that I want to learn a bit about the software. And yeah, I'm also interested in the theory part because I did an MA in contemporary art theory, and although I did not delve deep into the gaming culture, but I still want to have a taste of it because I've been trying some VR games in the gallery, and I'm particularly interested in those world building that is not based on the real world. That's what I'm interested in about, and I'm kind of excited to see how different perspectives are on the gaming culture. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for the information. Okay, cool. Anyone else wants to add any information into the pot?
Yeah, hey, I'm Jacob, and I do a master's program in art school right now, and I worked in my artistic practice with game development software. So I made like a video game for exhibition a while ago, and I have a background in cultural theory and philosophy. So this seminar sounded really intriguing to me.
Okay, cool. Great. Thank you. Nice. And if there are no other questions or comments or introductions to other directions, have you all been successful in installing Unreal Engine 5.3 or like virtually any fifth version of Unreal? Like, we don't have to say yes or no. Maybe there's really just way too much of us. It's 18. This course is really designed for you to actually work in Unreal Engine, okay? You can just like follow or audit, but it's actually far more better that you actually have the Unreal in front of you to some extent. And from the beginning, we will basically repeat what I do in my, iteration of the software, but then we'll develop our own, worlds or forms and gameplays. So I really hope that you've managed to install it. If not, you can even begin, because we will, run in parallel in like the theory part and the gaming level. And even now you may still download it. The download process, I think I've like very briefly outlined that. You basically can just download the Epic Games, client, and there this is just the whatever game store. It's very similar to what Steam is. Here you have a library of your games. These are not really of our concern at the moment, at least. And here you have a tag Unreal Engine. Then there in the library you basically have these three bounds. Ones are really the engines as you have them installed. If not, you can always install them, by clicking on this plus. Then you have the library of your projects in the engine, and here's your library of assets. We'll go through that. What does it mean in just a few moments, I guess. And so that's like my first question, and I hope most of you actually have the engine. And my second question would be the reading. Maybe we can begin with that, because time's running and we really have to be efficient. I have so much things that I want to go through or tell you. So let's actually get into Ingo Nierman. Have you all read the text? It's relatively short. Our reading for next classes will be sometimes larger, but we'll see. So have you struggled with the book? The link is actually here. If you still have not found the book, I will post it into our chat. Our most favorite websites are Anna's Archive and then the Unreal Engine Fab. Oh, come on. Yeah, Unreal Engine. I don't have opened Fab. Yeah, this is Fab. So these are two most important websites for our course, Anna's Archive and Fab. But anyway, what do you think about the reading? Before me actually saying anything, how did you find the text? No one? Okay, we don't have to begin with Ingo Nierman. We may begin either with my ideas about figurative theory, or we may actually begin with launching Unreal. Yeah, I know it's kind of weird, to interact through Zoom, but please, I'm here really for feedback or discussion. This is a workshop, not a lecture, so don't hesitate to say anything.
Because I didn't manage to get the book before the session, so I'm wondering if you could provide a little summary on the text.
Yeah, cool. Well, this is a thing somebody else can help me with. Somebody? Or, okay, I expected that oh, come on. I'm sorry. I'm using like way too many laptops at the moment, and I have not downloaded it into this one, but I'll do that. And we may actually read it together. Sometimes it's not really efficient, efficient way how to allocate time, but sometimes it's actually better to read the, crucial sections or fragments from the texts together. Oh, come on. In the meantime, you can really think of the text and what, at least those of you who have read it, and how you would introduce the text.
Hey, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting text because it kind of begins by talking about gaming. I read it maybe 2 weeks ago now, so it's a bit foggy in my brain. I have it right here. But it kind of also goes into a discussion, as you had kind of mentioned earlier, about liberalism. And then there's like a long kind of list, let's say, with very detailed bullet points of all the different ways that gaming infiltrating kind of like the liberal mindset or the way we're kind of functioning, how it impacts in different ways. Yeah, I don't know, just as like a very general kind of summary, I guess.
Yep, you're completely right. I'm so sorry because I've been preparing myself the entire Saturday, but I forgot to actually transfer the PDF to this laptop. So
I could share it.
okay, you can maybe share the sections you kind of find crucial. So I'm terribly sorry for this. On the other hand, the text, intriguingly for us, labeled Society of Games, is not really about games, not even PC games, but it's rather about games as a metaphor or kind of underlying model behind the post-liberal society. Even though we may not actually have read the text, have we any idea what a post-liberal society may look like or may be?
I don't know, a lot of it kind of seems like this maybe evolution of somewhat techno-capitalism and this kind of idea of all of the tracking and that, you know, the platforms and techno companies and everything, the constant tracking of our bodies, our social habits, how these are actually becoming kind of aligned with this gamified sense, this game theory sense of how we function as social beings or as bodies within a society.
Yeah.
And so this post-liberalism is kind of, maybe this is an inference, but it's kind of removing that level of performativity or that veneer that this is, you know, building up our social profiles. Like the information is being harvested and extracted in like very maybe more obvious ways or more aggressive ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very nice. So just to summarize, the very book, a really beautiful one, consists of like 33 essays that Ingo published in course of like last 5 or 6 years. And together these essays somehow chart this post-liberal territory, or what he calls monadic age. And the underlying thesis, or how to kind of put it as simply as possible, the liberal age was based around like individuals and their rights and tolerance as this kind of modus vivendi where different individuals can pursue their lives. This kind of spiraled out out of control insofar as both it has been point of attack from the right wing, and it has been not enough from, let's say, the woke or left or, critical or art, communities who no longer just require tolerance, but require some sort of like even more creative, self-realization. And Ingo Niermont has claims that we live in this time of like ego tribes, maybe you recall this like a very famous quote. I think it may be from Keyhole, this crazy, trend-setting collective that's no longer operative, but whatever. And they said like, well, before, people were born into communities and they have to develop their identities. Today, in, let's say, 21st century, we live in a society where people are born individualities and really struggle to develop and find their, you know, communities. And Ingo Nierman is, I don't know, stretching that one step, at least one step further. And he's saying it's no longer that we really need other people to join our tribe. We can live in our own ego tribes, you know. And let's say that this is one facet of how he frames post-liberal society, okay? And from what I've said about this kind of ego tribes and this, you know, individuals as self-sufficient monads, I think it's kind of obvious that monadism comes from monads, you know, it's this very old idea of Georg Friedrich Leibniz, this kind of Baroque German, very, very early modern philosopher, who claimed that the world consists of like self-sufficient monads, and the world is basically is already encapsulated in each of its units, you know. But so Ingo Nierman kind of imagines that we are now the self-sufficient units. We are the ego tribes, you know. If you kind of feel this is tiny bit phantasmagoric or really weird, just one very, very like down-to-earth example. Consider the proliferation of tattoos, you know. Obviously, they are like tribal signs, but today we don't really have, you know, I don't know, Russian prison culture of tattoos. No, we all have our own unique, you know, graphic, whatever tattoos that somehow denote the unique nature of our ego tribes. Okay. So sorry for this long introduction. We can go right to the page 92 and begin at least tiny bit of reading. I don't want to spend so much time with that because apparently we have to also do some gaming, and we have to do some Unreal Engine, but let me begin with that text. It's very funny because it actually begins with Kafka. Maybe you even recall that last week, the last session, I was alluding to my special problem, which is what does it mean to philosophize from Central Europe, or what does it even? Is there something like Czech philosophy? Is there something like not only Czech culture in terms of like, you know, whatever, sausages and tramping and beer, but if there is actually some sort of spirit that binds you know, the culture and makes some sort of avenue to thinking in general. And I was saying at least few things about Czech particular avenue to gaming, because Czechs are very unsuccessful in terms of, let's say, exporting our music or our, you know, films, virtually any other culture than the beer culture. But gaming is an exception, and there's like plenty of Czech games. I was just giving this incredibly easy example. This is particularly for those of you who are non-gamers, you know, and who kind of seek in games rather some sort of, you know, enlargement or some sort of like you know, confrontation with some new information rather than actually, you know, the thrill of gaming. So this gamified version of Kafka might be really fun for you, and it's for free on the website of Charles Games. Okay, sorry for that. Yeah, it's here. So if there's actually more of you who have not read it, maybe you can really begin in the beginning. I hope you don't mind this. It's maybe just a philosophical ritual, but I'll read it aloud, okay? The internet and virtual reality turned gaming into society's main paradigm. Everyday routines are gamified to keep us motivated. The parameters of gaming question the limits of liberal order. Common good games promise solace. Yeah, I don't know if this deserves a commentary. Ingo, like if you open this book, you know, his texts are like amazing mixture of like very intellectual, high-stake provocation and a very low-key, like very down-to-earth explanation of his own life and his own position, and therefore he even uses this kind of, you know, premonitions or these explanations of the text to be read. Okay. Franz Kafka's unfinished novel, Der Verschollene, The Man Who Disappeared, 1911-14, tells the story of the enforced and unsuccessful emigration of a 16-year-old European to the US. In the last fragment, the stranded protagonist sees a poster that says, "The great theater of Oklahoma is calling you. It's calling only today, only once. Whoever misses the opportunity misses it forever. Those who think of their artist step forward. We are the theater that has a place for everyone, everyone in his place." Somebody wants to comment this? In it like a very weird beginning of Society of Games? Well, apparently, like Kafka, even from the position of like this, avant-garde or like highly modernist literature, is already somehow preconceiving the fact that that maybe culture will not be divided into the group of providers and creators, whatever, writers, actors, directors, and the consumers, but in the like continuation of modernity and the trajectory of post-Enlightenment Europe, we will all become some sort of artists. And of course, he's incredibly ambivalent about evaluation of such a situation. And of course, even this situation is like very, very hypothetical. Okay, and for us, apparently, this is the situation in gaming, because let's say it does not pertain to all of the games, but games are like the dominant form of gaming today is open worlds, where you literally just inhabit a space and you establish some sort of connection relation with other players or NPCs. You fight them or you collaborate, and the story that you develop can be like very individualized or non-linear. Like you are really being the script writer of the story of the in-game world you're inhabiting. Okay, so I know it may be like cheesy or too simple analogy, but we are living in this Oklahoma theater of Kafka. At least Ingo is alluding. I'll continue, okay? And anytime, please jump into my, whatever, reading or my speech. Carl is uncertain if he should take offer seriously. How can they accept everyone? And what about the payment? But he doesn't have much to lose, and so gives it a try. Is the text big enough for you to read? Okay, cool. The audition that awaits him is megalomaniacal. The applicants have to walk over a stage filled with hundreds of women costumed as angels who stand on pedestals and blast from elongated trumpets. A highly subdivided recruitment committee asks the aspirants about their skills and previous professions and categorizes them accordingly. But the committee doesn't require any evidence. In fact, it accepts everyone. Before the applicants travel to Oklahoma, they're invited to a lush meal during which photographs of the theater are handed around. The only one Carl can get hold of shows the US president's grandiosely lit loge, itself the size of a theater. You see, in Kafka and in Ingo Nierman, you don't really get super clear, programs, but you have like a huge metaphors or analogies or provocations. And even this very last sentence can be read like so vividly in connection what's happening right now. Anyway, the novel just to explain the beginning, let's actually finish. Yeah, let's not deal with Marshall McLuhan. That would be maybe too cheesy. Let's just finish the Kafkaesque framing. The novel aborts without revealing what this theater is all about. In one version of the text, it's called a nature theater. Does this imply that it's situated outside? Did Kafka envision a Gesamtkunstwerk that happens in real life and in which the actors play themselves? Was the theater of Oklahoma meant as an allegory of on the afterlife, with Carl being already unknowingly dead? Or was it a satirical utopia of the new world, characterized by full employment and the absence of money? Kafka's work on Der Verschollene ended with the First World War. Okay. Any comments now? So the structure of the text is actually very simple, as is the case of all his other texts, from at least in my perception. After this kind of longer, introduction, he then sets like literally a list of things that in his mind make games like so compelling and so symbolic for today's world. For instance, this sensuality, or filling our needs instantly, the gambling, the contingency. That's very intriguingly important for liberal societies in order to retain this kind of like formal egalitarianism, because we are all subject to this like of contingency. And transgression, of course, something that has been invented by the post-structuralist philosophy of the 60s, is today just a regular experience of any, raver in Berlin club on Friday night. And drill. I will just I will for a bit stop here with the drill and with the reward system, because as you may know, games are like of course addictive, and they try to even like feed you into some sort of loop where you do something, you get a reward and gratification, and you're motivated to do it again, and finish another level, or get another hero in the grinding system of the game. And that's something that Ingo Nierman and I really think is at the very, very, very core of the political structure of today's societies. In other words, for instance, he says, like, we are not exactly forced to work. Yet apparently work is like the basic social control we have. Like, we are no longer really in control of like army, not even like the surveillance systems that are sometimes even like overvalued. But the thing that we actually kind of do, and the thing that somehow fills most of our life and most of our time, and the thing that somehow keeps us from, I don't know, taking part in revolution, is work. And what keeps us working is some sort of a reward system. It may be the capitalist or financial machinery, and the fact that we need to pay rent, but it's like all sorts of other reward system, for instance, tied to our social status. Okay, that's the core of the text, and I'm really intrigued by, or looking forward for Drew's question.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, when I was reading that section, in terms of like what stood out to me, like the reward thing felt the most relevant, at least to me, because I don't know if it's why it seems to be surging, but all my like ads online are for ways to like gamify literally everything. It's like, you want to learn about movies, download our app that's like Duolingo. You want to learn a different language, download Duolingo. You want to do fitness, download Fitness Duolingo. And it's like, I don't know if that's a symptom of something, or if it's just humans have always been that way, or if it's a crutch. And yeah, I don't know, but that's my first instinct whenever I want to learn something or do something, is how can I trick myself into doing something that would normally require like dedication and hard work that I'm not capable of, because of whatever reason, but
Definitely. Yeah. I think like this, the analogy between our own lives and the games that we play is just so straightforward. Maybe just to give it like a tiny bit more, edge or flavor, let me get back to my claim from last time, where I think I claimed that let's say that the novel was the medium of the late imperialist period, let's say 19th century, where no matter how the writers were actually critical of like English society or French society, they were still like building up the big story that somehow, if you consider even Dickens or Ego, it's like the how he call it, the grand human comedy, and then somehow cinema comes in 21st century, sorry, in 20th century, and makes it American, century, where again it's the self-proclaimed factory for the dreams, and we just really follow the celebrities and their lives, and we kind of aspire, although we know we never will be like Audrey Hepburns or Cary Grants. We kind of follow the logic of this, ideal, and TV medium becomes, for instance, very dominant for the liberal paradigm, including such weird phenomena as reality TV. And today it may be games. What is the difference is that, and like alluding a tiny bit on what you just said, Drew, is that in societies of control, in the parlance, of like Foucault and Deleuze, we have a representation. The representation usually masks itself as ideology-less, whatever representation of the universalist conditions upon which life is given to us, and we just believe the representation, believe the dream. The TV kind of creates far more habitual relationship to this type of Althusserian ideology, the imaginary relation to our reality. For instance, before internet, we knew that our favorite show just starts at 6 p.m., and we had to be at the TV set. And today, even the VODs are just, and binge watching, that's another way how to kind of institutionalize some sort of repetitive logic that's not only pertaining to the Simpsons, but also to our own lives. But in gaming, we have to make an effort ourselves, and we have which actually requires far more motivation. I still believe that psychologically you need less motivation to turn on the TV or TV show, and you need to have more motivation actually to start a game and like learn what the game rules are, and like really identify with your character and grind it and spend hours and hours like making a better character. So again, the reward system, rather than the gamification in terms of like rules, is actually the important thing. Okay, thank you, Drew. I would like to zoom out from the text. Maybe we can just finish with some of its concepts. In the very, very, very end of our docs file, I added like a reading section, and I just pointed the most for me most intriguing concepts that Ingo Nierman uses. Apart from the play work kind of dialectic that we've just been through, he has like a very funky neologisms for instance, co-op fantasy, or orcism, in orcism, exorcism, auto-affection, auto-fantasy. Somebody wants to or identity. This is kind of obvious, but I love it. Like my work so much stems from both this and this. Identity politics as a revenge of fascism. Okay. Somebody, or I've already mentioned ego tribes, and this kind of anti-Deleuzian, body with more organs. Somebody wants to elucidate on all these concepts?
Hello.
Hello.
I really like this idea of inercism that he mentions in this idea of how all the senses are implied in the actual entering of these realms of internet or virtual realities or gaming. And he describes it as this opposite to exorcism, and how this adoption of a virtual identity doesn't stop in the moment you unplugged or you log out from your virtual reality, but these kind of avatars and these features you adopt in the virtual realm start to like invade yourself, or like a kind of possession, like consensuated possession. And this also relates a lot with this idea of the co-op fantasy as reality. So I like, I was like shocked in some parts of the text when I saw this cross of reality and virtuality. And he says a lot about this, such as in the end when he speaks about how gaming loses innocence and starts to become like a substance of the actual reality we live in. For example, myself, I am a songwriter, I'm a musician, and I see how gamified is actually the act of creating music or even promoting it in platforms like TikTok or Spotify. Even everything is like gamified, is like it has a reward system, it has a lot of ways to measure and monitor your kind of numbers, and musicians become like players in this game of platforms. And it's really crazy. Even the actual platforms where you do the music, the workstations and all that, are becoming more like 3D spaces and virtual reality spaces. So I see how this crosses, and I see the kind of inner schism uh, taking place.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So exorcism is actually getting rid of, the demon, and inorcism is actually kind of assuming the online demon, and being there in the game in front of some sort of character or avatar. I would love to just, always like flood you with examples. And I still believe that the most important example of artist working with avatarism is actually Chinese artist Lu Yang. I believe he now identifies as a man, but I think he did like two switches. So I'm sorry if I'm just messing up, but I think he is working with his like alter ego. This usually it's this Doku character, and virtually every video of Lu Yang, and now she's like super successful and famous Chinese artist. Every video revolves around like this kind of um, reinvention through the doku. So
We have to, we
yeah,
have to be careful with playing copyrighted material.
okay.
In
But
the
this is actually, on her on his Vimeo channel. So I believe this is not really copyrighted. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, let's close that one now, and let me get back to the file.
But I also think it's really interesting that you bring up Doku because like in the actual like implementation of the avatars, the motion capture is like very much a part of the performative aspect and like the activation of maybe it's not with Doku, but like with earlier works. And also the guest will have, well, I'm not sure if he's a guest or not, but Theo Trian.
Triantafylidis, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
forgot how to say the last name. Um, did that really interesting project Antigone based on the graphic novel that did the where it was like live motion capture with the actors acting out the virtual environment that was happening, also like concurrently with the screen. I always found it really interesting to like bring the aspect of capturing the self into the avatar as like a
Yep.
really yeah, I don't know, poignant way of like
Yeah,
looking at
here we literally have the orc, you know, because Ingo Nierman actually, when he says inorcism or exorcism, he really wants us to focus on the idea of orcs, you know, as being kind of these mythical creatures virtually canonized by Tolkien as the creatures from below the earth, you know, those that are, you know, the demons of the earth. This is incredibly simple, like a game performance or video that really literally just features this endless field and the orc character. Okay, we have 1 hour behind virtually, so we may shortly close the reading part and jump into Unreal. And we can end up later on with the figurative theory concept of mine. But maybe somebody still wants to get to any of these other fancy concepts.
Can I ask a question?
course.
Sort of related, but not. You know, the word robot, since you speak the language from which the term was gotten in English speaking literature, it's often said that robot means slave, so it connects to the idea of work. And like, I'm half Polish, and in Polish, robot does not mean slave. It just means like hard work or something like that. So I'm curious about that. If you have any, like, because it really changes the idea of work or robots, if it's a slave versus whether it's just difficult, sort of like maybe physical labor.
Yeah.
So
no, sorry to kind of heat my Czech soup bit up, because the concept has been invented by Karel Čapek.
yeah.
And mainly by his play RUR, which means literally Rozum's Universal Robots, you know.
Okay.
And it's this like again like a very like a how you say, like a 101 modernist you know, drama piece about, you know, the corporation that actually invents robots, which I think it's maybe one of the very most or earliest example of such narrative that we now know from, you know, all those Aliens and Covenants and other stories. But you're right that in Slavic languages it basically means hard work, but you know, the kind of political edge, it derives from the fact that robota is not only work, but in the feudal ages, it has been the ration of human labor that you must do for your lord, for your liege, you know. So feudalism basically works that it's not extracting literally money, but mostly for most of the people who don't really have much access to money at all, it extracts literally their own labor. So you would, let's say that you would have to work like every day, like 4 hours for your liege, that's robota, and the rest of the day you can do whatever, you know. So this is the kind of like I think political edge that somehow can be, you know, compared to slavery. It's although it's not technically a slavery.
Okay, thank you so much. Because I think that relates to like gamification and the desire to work, whereas a game doesn't seem like work and stuff. I don't know. I'm not articulating it yet, but it's somehow, yeah. So anyway, thank you for that. That's very clarifying.
No problem. Like what I'm tiny bit more intrigued by in this linguistic, you know, connection is that we have in gaming we call the non-player characters usually bots, you know, and it again comes from robots, and just to again, this sorry for like this seminar is going to be filled with these cheesy claims, and this is one of them. Okay, so the fact, or this kind of, you know, sacrilege, or the thought that I think appeared to many gamers is, aren't we the NPCs, you know? Because in the game world of, like, for instance, Red Dead Redemption or virtually any other open world games, you have players, and usually those are the heroes. They have the guns. They can do virtually forever with some sort of correctives or rules, you know? And then you have NPCs, and they just repeat the same action all over and over just for you to seemingly inhabit a living world, you know. Just sorry for another example and name dropping. I think I've even mentioned it already. Total Refusal, they have 2 videos from Red Dead Redemption 2, and I love them. And this is hardly working, and it's not copyrighted, and it's a story of all those NPCs in it Red Dead, or some of the, a few of those NPCs. So you have this stable hand. You have that really just chops wood and carries water bucket from nowhere to nowhere. But he actually is a special case because he has a storyline. But then you have a lady that just washes her laundry all the time, you know, carelessly. You have a guy that just nails into a pierre all the time. And maybe we should watch this as another whatever homework for next time and discuss it. I really love the video. It's like the kind of 101 Marxism. But anyway, back to the claim. The kind of seemingly you know like you know, scary claim is that we are the NPCs of this world. You know, we don't really have shotgun if we are not American, sorry. We don't really have like some sort of agency in the big things. We don't really fight. Like, of course, if we're lucky enough to live in like a, you know, Western infrastructural world, but we actually do very repetitive things, and we derive our social status from those very repetitive things. Usually, it's just work. Maybe it's our hobbies, you know, but. And I think like since this NPC hypothesis occurred, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when the open worlds became a big thing in gaming, I suddenly have a feeling that being an NPC is actually not the worst thing. And today we kind of fight in the post-liberal age. We kind of fight for the very option, or for the very eventuality of having and retaining these NPCs lives. Sorry. Okay, so that's my take on bots and NPCs. Sorry for those of you who are not aware, it's non-player character, of course. Okay, do you feel that we can go on and leave Ingo Nierman to his monad?
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Maybe jump into Unreal.
Yes. Okay, let's do it. So I have my you know, client. I will assume you're like repeating after me, and you have your Unreal engines you know, installed. And please, anytime, just stop me. I know this is like a ultra complex piece of software. I know some things that I'm gonna make will make no sense at first, and maybe they're gonna be quick. Just don't hesitate to stop me, you know. And again, maybe you're used to other seminars or TNC, whatever, you know, programs, and listening to you know, some sort of theoretical discourse or argument. This is different. We are trying to make things rather than listen to things. So please do interfere, do interact, ask questions, whatever. Oh, co-op fantasy. We'll get to that hopefully. Sounds like metaverse propaganda. Yeah, cool. I don't know if I'm the devil's advocate on this in this case, but I enjoy Ingo Nierman for not really being, you know, this like a basic 101 critic of the new things. And just to explain my own position, I am like what I call vulgar accelerationist, which means just something that I don't know. For instance, Bernard Stiegler repeats all over again and again, and that is, if we have an issue, the issue is always like way too way too complex and way too connected to technology, and we have to work through the issue. We can't really take a step back and get into some sort of, you know, idealized past where without computers or without cars or without big cities or something like that. I really am committed to accelerationist in the most basic parameter of going through the problem and doing our whatever, confront ourselves or do research in what actually is the medium that we find problematic. And needless to say that metaverse is just corporate, you know, BS. There's not much happening. It has been like it really just functioned as some sort of like fundraising, the next big thing. But the things that we've been through, and the things that Ingo Nierman describes as post-liberal society or the monadic age or the co-op fantasy, it's things that are already happening, you know, and we can withdraw. You can just, I don't know, have like a dumb phone and ignore social media, and it definitely will bring you some advantage for your own life, but it won't really bring you agency and critical awareness of the medium itself and what it actually does, you know. And that's basically what we are trying to do here. Needless to say that gaming is at the moment like a very monolithic, very cultural industry. And again, we're kind of trying to smuggle in some like a different way of, you know, using it and thinking about it with the help of contemporary theory. So I hope I kind of explained or balanced the metaverse, you know, comment. I hope with me you opened up the Unreal Engine. What you see is just the, you know, begin project section. We won't actually use this because that would be, so sorry, we won't go it this way because that would be a tiny bit more complex, and we'll go to our you know, client. In the library, I have Lyra, you know. I believe you won't see that, and therefore we have to access FAB, you know. We access FAB through, for instance, through this link. And on FAB, as I said, this is the the only direct repository of Unreal Engine. It's now actually connected even to Unity and you know, other pipelines. You have them here, but we will basically just move around the Unreal stuff. Even in the Discover session, the one thing I kind of even mentioned last time is there are you know, free featured contents or discounted contents. I really highly recommend each month you see there's this beautiful assets like this beautiful lizard man. I will definitely use it. So I add it to my cart. Yeah, you have to actually, you know, of course, log in yourself. Okay, we all have to do that in course of like downloading Lyra, so I'll do it anyway. Sorry for this. Oh, come on. Oh. Oh, come on. Yeah. Yeah. And now I have it in my card, and I can just buy it because it's for free. Yeah, I don't necessarily need to do that. But anyway, here we type Lyra. Yeah, here. And you should have like save in my library here. So save it and download it. Then if you already have it, you apparently have this view in Launcher. It launches your client or launcher, and here you click on Create Project. Now, somebody having problems with these first steps?
Yeah, hi. It's just I'm just downloading Unreal Engine and it's asking me to install Xcode. Is that something?
Yeah.
Okay.
You definitely need some version of Xcode.
Okay, all right, I'll do that. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just for the programming part that will not really concern us because we will do mostly the 3D part. And if some visual programming, it's going to be only visual programming. But we need Xcode for, you know, the rewiring of those programming languages. Okay. You see, we will run into many problems. A very stupid one is that the path must not be longer than 100 characters. So you may actually need to, whatever, make a root, you know, folder. I have like just directly on my local drive, I have Unreal Engine, Unreal projects. Just select that folder. It starts. Here you can name your you can name your project. It's not going to be the name of the game, but it's going to be, of course, the name of the project. And you can create it. For some reason, I'm still using 5.3 because I hadn't had the chance that much to explore the 5.6. So I will still, you know, stick to 5.3 and create a project. This will take some time. As I said on first lesson, of course, Unreal production is specific, or like the cutting edge, or for instance, the advantage over Unity and all other engines is that the visual quality, you know, and the ability to really work with such a complexity of, like, you know, visual details and post-production and lighting and shades and you know, other whatever systems. So it really requires a lot of hard drive. Anyone else having any issues? Are you slowly creating your first project? Okay, we have the project here right now, just with the logo. And I'll just basically open it. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. I'll read it later. Anyway, we're slowly opening up our first project. And of course, you have access to this to recording of this session. So even though you may not, for instance, have the Unreal Engine right now, or you may just, I don't know, be tiny bit late in doing all the things we are actually doing, you can always get back and do step by step, you know, whatever with us. Okay, we'll have to. Already last time, I was trying to introduce you to the very basics. We have the viewer, we have the content browsers. We have lots of, you know, tabs in the content browser. You can even use the, you know, the hierarchy here. We have content, C++, plugins, engines. We're working with Lyra like template. Yeah, I haven't said why. That's a tricky one. So I hope like you will catch up with me and open the Lyra project while I'm explaining at least that much. LitUp is the most advanced template that is available on Unreal Engine. So basically what we are doing now is using the most cutting edge engine and the most cutting edge, like most functional prototype that is ready to play in that engine. So I was intrigued by the option not to begin with the basics and with simple stuff, but actually to begin like with full-fledged stuff so that you actually get to experience what UE5 is capable of, okay? The problem I still see with this direction is that it may be overwhelming at first, but don't worry, we'll do very like a slow step by step. And also you may I feel like the gameplay is just very basic, you know, and we won't really experiment with that. We will just experiment with the world and with the 3D setting, because the gameplay is actually more whatever demanding thing. So I'm sorry, we will gonna shoot today, and it's gonna be a shooter game, okay? If yeah, so we have the content browser here on your left. You have outliner, which is basically a list of all the things. For instance, if you get lost, you know, if you have something like that, you can always click on that, and it will get you there. The navigation is fairly intuitive. You see now I'm using VASD with a right click down. If you come on, if you right click on your mouse, then you can just move around. You even adjust with scroll wheel. You adjust, you know, the speed of how you're moving. So very, very simple and common to most of the whatever 3D tools. Then about the viewer and the scene itself, the most important things are these four. You can even, the shortcuts are very intuitive. It's Q, W, E, R, you know, the very first keys on the, you know, alphabetical keyboard. So Q is selection tool, W is movement. You move, you know, volumes like that. Very, very easy. I really like this, you know, the gizmo, because if you take it here, you know, you're moving, of course, only one axis, the other axis, the y-axis. Of course, if you take it for the middle, whatever cog, you can move it around wherever, and of course you have location here, you know, in the outliner. So if you really want to do some sort of precise movement, you can just go here and either put there the number or just like, you know, drag it as this, you know. This is the basic properties, and this is here there should be like all the properties you see. So that was the W movement. E is rotation. You can, any volume you can basically rotate again along the three axes. And the R is actually a scale tool. And so making it bigger, smaller, very, very intuitive. Like, you know, again, each axis actually can work separately. Okay, apart from this very basic layout, I mean, viewer, content browser, outliner, or world partition, we have everything. The only thing we kind of need to worry about is project settings. This is the most basic information about the project. Very soon we'll use only this particular tab, maps and modes, to set up our starting map and to set up our, you know, default browser map or default editor map. Then here you have plus. That means like get content. For instance, if you want a cube, you just, you know, select a cube, and here you have it. Yeah. Let me get it. Yeah, and we have a cube. So this is basically adding any objects. You can even search if you do. Oh, yeah, you can even search, for instance, your content browser or whatever you need. Then this is about like sequences, and if you're interested in movie production, that this is your tab, but we won't do really anything with that. What is important is these blueprints. We have a level blueprint that's basically all the logic or the coding that happens for the level as a whole. Okay, and we have nothing here. But blueprint is a very specific object that actually has a code inside. We now know, we actually at the moment we don't have any code here, but potentially there is a code. And any object in the scene or any object here can be converted to blueprint object with its own set of features and codes. Okay, but we will actually do only the character, the player character, and you know, its own blueprint code. Okay, is this like a super introductory part clear? Do we have any questions? And most importantly, have you, at least some of you, have you managed to open the Lyra project? The loading, okay. Oh, cool. Thank you, Drew. Awesome. So let me yeah, it is relatively similar to Unity. The biggest difference is the blueprints. You know, here we'll deal with visual programming, unlike you know, Unity, where you really need to know basics of C# and you need to code all the interactions. Which is actually now very, the advantage of Unity is, of course, like LLMs, because they can literally generate the code for you. It's not really super reliable, but with some skill and with like some sort of like a drill and repetition, you will actually get to really have like your own code for Unity from LLMs. But we will do visual programming. I don't know if today we'll manage to get there, but maybe in 2 weeks. Okay, so if I press play, that's like the very important button here, it will actually get me to this very level. This is just very silly level to see all the options. Here we have, this will teleport us to front end, which is virtually the menu of the game, or this is gonna set up the default experience, or here we have like the 2 basic modes. In this particular template, we have either expanse, elimination mode, which means like who gets the first 15 kills of the enemy team just wins. And we will work rather with tiny bit more funny convolution control mode, where you have a free you can still kill, you know, enemies and their team, and they will respawn very quickly. But the point of the game is to capture the free, you know, capture points and generate, I think, 125 points by capturing them. Okay, so just for instance, if I go there, it will actually teleport me to the level. Yeah, my computer is not super edgy on that regard. Yeah. You see, we have like a very basic features. We have a pistol. Now I can grab a gun. All the enemies are there. And they grab the base, and I can grab it. And you see on top of the screen that we now control 2 bases. We're capturing even the third one, and we're generating the red points, okay? So this is it. I'm sorry if this is underwhelming, but this is the game we will be working with. Nonetheless, I really don't like this, like how to start with this and move around like that. So what we'll do is we'll open the level directly. Okay, the level will be in plugins. If you don't, it's important if you actually start Unreal for the first time. I believe you will not have plugins ticked here. Okay, so you need to, in your content browser, you need to click on settings and tick this show plugin content because we need to work with that. Okay. Just totally, by the way, this reminds me because I'm looking to my second laptop where I actually have still the step-by-step. Here, this is the first session, like a detailed program. And here we have basically step-by-step of what we are doing or going through right now, okay? So yeah, where we are. Yeah, we're now actually, going through the content browser and the plugins. And here in the plugins, I think it's shooter map content. Okay. And here it's maps, and you have even the yellow bar says this is a type of a file, maps or level. Okay, just totally, by the way, you have a really neat filter here, and you can just tick maps, and it will, even though you're, for instance, in the root folder, it will just show you all the maps there are. Okay, but anyway, we need to go to shooter core content. No, shooter maps content. Okay. And here we'll work with convolution. Okay. So yeah, whatever saves like it. Of course, you'll do tons of stuff. So I really recommend pressing this button, save, like whenever you can. You can just save all the time. Or of course, Control S. It's the shortcut. But anyway, you see another problem. The scene is like not there. It's because it's not loaded. So one more technical thing that we won't really use, but it's really good for if you have large game. Unreal is so good for like slowly loading parts of the game so that your computer or the player's computer is not just overwhelmed. And it's called world partition. The tab is here near the details, and I think you have to like select everything, then right click and load region. Okay. Yeah. And now it loaded the thing. So like from afar, this is our world. This is virtually where you've already seen me, move around this. I don't know if it's like a space station or something. Maybe needless to say that Unreal Engine is somehow connected to Unreal Tournament, incredibly like groundbreaking and famous game from the very late 90s that popularized 3D graphics basically, and Unreal Engine was kind of modeled on the abilities of this game. Yes, Alina, do you have a question?
Can you go over again, please, on how to load the map?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for this question. That's what I need. So here we have content browser. By the way, you have many tabs, so you can just, if you feel like we'll be getting back here often, you can just keep it there and then use another browser. And here you have to, if I actually disregard the filter, I click all. This is the root folder. Okay, we have C++. We won't use that. We have content, which usually is just everything there is in the game. But the problem, or not the problem, but we are working with a template, with Unreal Engine template. Therefore, we need to use some of the engine and some of the plugins. And in plugins folder, you go to Shooter Content Core, I believe. Yes, and there are maps. Okay. No, sorry. It was the other one. Shooter maps content, and here maps. Okay, you can see, I don't know if this text is too little, but you can see the root, or sorry, you can see the path here. All plugins, shooter maps, content, maps. And here convolution, okay? I can load it even once more. Yeah, this is it. And now let's do menu diving, hopefully for the last time today. I know this may be overwhelming, but only one menu diving, okay? It's going to be project settings, and here maps and modes. And here, let's just ignore the menu. Let's ignore all the maps. And as an editor start map, let's actually set the convolution block out and even the game default map. So if we generate the game in future, the map that it starts with is actually this one, okay? Convolution block out. You can always like, yeah. And this is it, you know. Then, of course, here you can have a logo for the game. That's going to be literally the logo of the, you know, exe file that's going to be generated when we've prospectively, like in 2 weeks, actually finish our game project. And you can have project ID and, of course, name, okay? Like, yeah. And this is it, you know. We can keep those, you know, these tabs, they will stack. Soon we'll also open like the player controller, and all the tabs that are open will be here. Anyway, so here, when I now press play, I'm directly in the level, okay? Okay, sorry for that. You can even, I don't know, tinker around with that. And what we do now, yep, let's even here, the easiest option is actually to use like Control-C, Control-V. It's amazing that this, you know, maybe the most basic digital principle just works here as beautifully as anywhere else. And for instance, here, if we fall here, we just die. I can show it to you. Come on. Yeah. So let's just say that I need a bridge. I want to have like a more safe bridge here. Oh, this is a big volume. Let's say I literally press Control-C and Control-V, and now we actually have 2 blocks. You see? The gizmo is kind of offset, but whatever. I don't mind that much. Yeah. And now I can even like find the particular space in the map. Yeah, you see that there's some sort of bridge. So you work like that. And let us just, you know, somehow personalize. In between our sessions, you will basically have all the time you want to spend with Unreal for like, you know, tinkering around with that and making it more beautiful. And you'll see that with the 3D production, you can intuitively get very quickly, you can get away with it and run away in any direction you need. Let's say that there is these 3, you know, capture points. Okay, there's one. This is the center. There's another one is there. Another one is there. Okay, so let me just like very, you know, simply personalize that. Yeah, let me download 3 books. You know, you can. In this way, we'll just you know, experience or see how easy it is actually to import assets into the Unreal, okay? I was already using the FAB. That's the most direct way. You literally download it into your client, and from the client, you can just you know, link it to your project, but you can of course use virtually any file. Okay, so I download just Reza Negarestani into into my downloads folder, and in the downloads folder I literally just take this and drag it onto the content browser, but I don't want to there. Yeah, let's just head it. Sorry, let's just keep it here. Oh, I wanted to keep it in content. Come on. Okay, anyway, I'll cut it. Yeah, delete. And here I'll make another folder. It's as easy as in whatever, you know, any OS. What can I add to that is that you may imagine that I'm a very chaotic person and I really have problems with like being systematic enough, and Unreal Engine is really helping me with that a lot, because you need to be like fairly systematical in order to like get back to the things you've done. You know, the folder structure is can become like super complex and dense like very quickly. So you really have to be like you know, as systematic. Let's say that I have my own folder. I really like the option to actually make it, you know, different color so that I really intuitively get there. I'll open the folder and now I can drag and drop Reza just right here, okay? And here I will simply add a plane. I find it easier to just hover around all classes and then just look for what you actually need, you know. This is not entirely the most professional way how to import things, but it's the easiest way, believe me. So I click on plane and it's voila, it's right here, okay? Let's see that, it seems like there's nothing, but the problem is that the plane is just one-sided in Unreal Engine, and therefore the plane is actually from the other side, you know, I mean the visual content of the plane. Anyway, let me place it onto the wall, basically. Yeah. Yeah, almost happy with this. And now it's really easy as this is bitmap or type of a bitmap. It's texture. But if I actually drag and drop the texture onto a plane or virtually any other object, it will actually create a so-called material. Every object here needs to have a material, okay? And a material is something that you need to pre-generate from a bitmap or JPEG or just a visual, you know, 2D graphic. And Unreal can do that, like, you know, you see automatically. And you see, we now have, you know, this funky line here. I can find the place. Yeah, it's right there. You see. So let's say that this cap is no. Okay, I died. This cap is the post or the inhumanist, the intelligent and spirit one, and you can do anything with this. Let me use just Control C, Control V, and I have two of them. I don't know if I want to, for instance, Google exocapitalism by Marek Polix and Roberto Trio. Come on. Yeah. I just again download it. Yeah, this is what I want. And again, from here, from downloads folder, I just literally drag and drop it here. Oh, okay. So we have an issue. This is without an extension. Was it JPEG? Yeah, it was JPEG. Cool. And again, I drag and drop it. It's not really it's not really good resolution, but whatever. Here, well, you see we have a problem with crop. So you would have to actually open it in Photoshop. That's the easiest way, and crop it there, you know. But yeah, I don't want to spend time opening up Photoshop or cropping images here with you. But you get the point, right? And even here, if I zoom out a tiny bit, I can just very easily move it around. And yeah, and you see, come on. Yeah. We have another, whatever, table, if you mind me saying so. Okay. Now this is the basics of how to work with the scene. Is everything clear, or do you have some sort of comments on top of that? Would you like to do something particular with this, what we've just seen? Anyone successfully? Yeah. All good. That's amazing. Okay. So we did the basics of adding objects. We did the materials. Let me get a tiny bit into materials, because that's where the fun is, and that's where so-called parametrics. But for me, it's already part of visual programming, you know, is. This is a visual graph or material graph. These are all the properties that we see on any object onto which we add the material, and you see it can have like base color. But for instance, I would like that to shine, okay? And it can be as easy as just setting the RGB value that we get from this 2D map onto emissive color, okay? Here we have like the preview, okay? So already somehow shines. We can always save. Let me get back to our map where we have it. And you see here, Reza already shines. You can even go there in the game. It's you see, it's now shining. Okay, so emissive color is really beautiful thing about the material graph. But we would like to. There's a trick that I simply just love, and I can share it with you, and that's called world position offset. It basically creates a positional offset of the surface of the material. So whatever object you have, it can be a plane, it can be a cube, it can be like a character, it will offset every pixel that's affected by the information from the RGB. It's actually not giving much, because it's the differences of the materials are not so strong. Yeah, but we can help that with multiply. Multiply is maybe the most basic node. We just plug this into here and the position offset here, okay? And now it's like multiplies by 10. And you see that it's already changing the shape or the surface of it, okay? So even if I go into, no, well, let me check in the game. Oh, it's here. No, it did not offset it, okay? Maybe it's still too little. So let me add another 0. Yeah, this should be already visible. No. Okay, so planes behave in a different way. I didn't expect that, but let me just put it here, for instance. Not working here. Okay, I didn't expect this mistake, but let me correct it by actually editing the player character, okay? So I think maybe even the last thing, because it's almost 5. Oh, now it actually did the offset. Okay, it just really needed time to, whatever, generate the shape. You see it. I kind of love these glitchy effects. I am it has like a pragmatic component. I love to mess around with the engine. I'm not really focused on some sort of realist rendering of this or that like scene from the real world, but I'd rather see the world like crumble, because we can. And again here we could do something very similar with Marek Polik's and Roberto Trio's book. Oh, come on. Just take some time. Yeah. And now already it's becoming tiny bit, individualized. I mean, the space. So last thing we'll do is we'll find the character blueprint. Oh, where they are. You see, suddenly I don't have the plugin content. I have to take it once more. Okay, well. And it's should go content blueprint. No. Should confirmed. See. Any, and where's the set one? Yeah, we need this one. I'll open it in folder. Oh, it's in content. Wow. Okay. So many and is the male character of this game, intriguingly enough, and Quinn is, let's say, what supposedly is a female character. Okay, you see, these are like the two blueprint whatever characters. In the lower line, we have your event graph. That's their behavior. We have construction script. That's the coding. We don't actually need anything at the moment. And then you have viewport, how they actually look. Here we have the Quinn. Here we have the Manny character. And what I just wanted to show you as this kind of very advanced trick and how to make the game like look very differently, very simply, and glitchy is through going here. We have this is again a hierarchy of this particular blueprint class object. So we basically have only mesh component. Mesh in Unreal is anything that has a physical appearance in the world, in the scene, has mesh, but the objects themselves, they're like of higher order, let's say blueprint class. Anyway, here we have it apparently has 2 elements. And here we have the materials of those elements. They are complex. They're incredibly, it would be very, very tough to actually edit them as they are. So here I make my own material. I'll put it next in the folder of the characters. Hopefully I won't forget. But here you have, come on, material. And we'll just create our own very first material. Let's call it my material. We'll double click it to open it. And again, we can give it a color. If we type here sample, texture sample, yeah. we can RGB, we can send the RGB to base color, and it will look like this. But also we'll set it to the world offset. Again, we need to multiply because it's too little information difference. Okay, so this. Yeah, we're gonna have a nice fluffy character in a moment. Yeah, 30 looks already doing something. Okay, let's save it. Let's go to many. And in many, we will just simply switch for my material. Here you have this neat little tab. You type my mat. It's generating the content. You see we have this, yeah, it's not actually so fluffy as I expected, but it's still somehow funny. We save it and we can play already with this renewed player character. Okay, so I'm Quinn. It's not really visible on me. It's only visible on those manies, but let me see whether that's another Quinn. Oh, let me die and let's hope I'm gonna be Manny. I'm still Quinn. Okay, so let's actually edit even the Quinn character. You see, I have to click the mesh component, and here I again type my mat. Yeah. And it looks really glitchy. But anyway, here it is in the game. Okay, so these are the few little tricks or things we can tinker with. The objects themselves, Control C, Control V, generating materials from JPEGs, and then the material graphs that actually program what we see. Sorry, I did it like maybe way more fast than I first wanted, but maybe this is just for us to see what we can do further. So now we have time for your questions, and of course, like after the class, you have all the time you want to actually tinker around with all these with yourself. No questions. Somebody wants to share a screen and show us what you got. Okay, I still wanted to do at least tiny bit of figurative theory. So let me see if I can load my board. Yeah. And if you don't want to talk like through Zoom at the class, you can even send me like emails or message me. Maybe even on Instagram, and if it's like still reasonable amount of questions, I can help you with the Unreal throughout those 2 next weeks. Okay, so if you don't want to be vocal about your experimentation with it right now, I believe that or it's natural. Don't be anyhow ashamed. I completely understand that it may be very, very, very new for you. But nonetheless, you can message me, or of course, you can find like countless, tutorials online. Virtually anything that is in Unreal has like really tons and tons of tutorials. I even added, I think somewhere here. No, yeah, there's the official introduction to Lyra, like hour long, Yes, Morgan, you have a question.
Yes, I was just wondering, do we have to, I understand for the sake of the class that we have to work with Lyra to understand a little bit how it works, but I kind of would need, and I was interested in using Unreal Engine to actually get some footage for a video that I need of like a landscape or like rock-like setting. Is it possible that like outside of class, like do we have to all work on like the same level and structure, or like for the, let's say, learning experience, we can also modify and play in another environment?
Definitely, we will play with another environment. Let's say that apart from the 0 sessions 2 weeks ago, we have 4 sessions, okay? And my plan, as really, following basically still, this short plan in the beginning of our file, my plan is to spend 2 sessions with this particular, default template, and then next 2 sessions with our own whatever project that we actually will, kind of begin with. Okay, so thank you for this amazing, question. Even now, you can tiny bit disregard the Lyra whatever and just follow what I do around, and you can already open up your own project. It may be a tiny bit perplexing at first, but maybe you'll just, see around. Of course, like when beginning a new project, you just literally launch Unreal, and then, as I've shown already, you begin the game mode you prefer. There's a first person, third person, and top down virtual. Then there's actually racing. I've never really done that, but maybe some of you would be interested in racing, game and template. But there's virtually 3 options. First person, that means like you see POV, camera of the world. Third person, which means like you basically move around in the very, very same way, but you already see the back of your character. That's basically the case of the Lyra default template. And then there's top down, which means the camera is from above and your character just moves around into some sort of isometric, whatever, area. So this is how you can just begin your own game. Here in games you have, as I said, first person, third person, top down, and you have even like handheld and VR. And you usually just begin with this type of environment, so you can actually work with it, edit it, put textures on, or you can just download your own assets, and make it your own environment. Sorry, I'm tiny bit jumping ahead to answer your question, because this is precisely what I wanted to begin with the 3rd session, And if you really want to do that right now, and I really don't blame you being fed up with this very, defaulty and shooting oriented, example, then you can. I really recommend exploring the fab, because you have. It's not that much of whatever. Defaults such as Lyra there. It's more like 3D assets. So sorry for jumping around. Here you have like discover, whatever, you click on 3D and you see only 3D assets, And just for instance, limited time free, you see there's this beautiful traditional Chinese, I guess, yeah, rural environment. So you basically, again, buy this, download it into your client, accept, see traditional Chinese style park. Yeah. And then you can even click on view with a launcher. It will launch your launcher. Anyway, here you type Chinese. Oh, it's not longer. You have to sync your library and you see it's there. And here you can do add to project. Just for instance, we already played, we're in this one, okay? So I added there. It's gonna download actually now, only now it's actually downloading the asset from the cloud to your computer. Yeah, and should be there. Let me see here. Let me go to all content, and here should be somewhere traditional Chinese park. No? Come on. Okay, maybe I have to, you know, turn on and off the project I'm working with, because I've edited it, right? Oh, sorry. I'm way too quick. I don't have enough, free space on my disk. Okay, so I won't be able to do that. But anyway, this downloads it, and here in the content browser you'll find it. You can again, if it's like a workable like FBX or gulletable file, you can just drag and drop it into the scene, and you'll just see it. Okay, was this helpful, Morgana? And the other thing, you can just tinker around with like very tentatively with the gameplay. For instance, you can just delete the function to shoot. It's tiny bit more complex, but I can give you the solution like next week. And then, for instance, this game will be only about really literally running around and trying to capture those points, and we will dispose of this like horrible shooting that's in any other game. Okay, like I'm happy that we've been through almost everything insofar as the Unreal Engine goes, and we've been through the reading. That was, again, for me, a very nice initial introduction into what games are as a phenomenon, as a cultural or mediatic phenomenon. We didn't venture into the figurative theory, which is fine because there's plenty time for that. You already have even a link on my Miro. But next week we will maybe not get there because we'll do the dark forest theory of the internet. Okay, the minimum reading is Yancey Strickler, Bogna Konio, and I think there's no one else as popular as the two of them in terms of really reverberating the dark forest theory. It would be nice if you have time for novels, just read Liu Cixin and his novel or trilogy called Remembrance on Earth's Past, from where the actual concept comes in. But the minimum reading is Yancey Strickler, Bogna Konio. Bonus reading may be actually another Substack post of Yancey Strickler that's called Post Individual. Also, he has very recently been invited to Joshua Citarella's Doom Scroll. So you can even I'm just in the middle of watching it. You can even watch the two boys talking about internet there. Okay. And apart from that, please do watch Lee Fan's video called My Favorite Primitive. Okay? I know it may be kind of a list of homeworks, but believe me, these are two very short texts and they're very readable, very attractive, very sexy. And I still believe that the Leofan's video is just the best video in our department. There's no other like project that could be so well fitting what we do here now, which is some sort of death match between theory and games. Okay, just to maybe process that at least in one sentence more for you. Lee Fan himself, he describes his art process or his art practice as a death match between the engine and himself. Okay, I really hope this is clear, this is fun, this is a lot of materials, this is a lot of like stimulation and provocation, and we'll continue to ride the wave. The other thing we actually need to do, hopefully even today, hopefully even right now, is to decide about the guests, okay? I believe you all know and really like Alex Quicho, and it would be, she actually reserved time, so it would be really nice to have her on the 4th session, So sorry, I'm just too disorganized in this single file, but yeah, here we have, oh, I've scheduled her for 3rd lesson? Oh, okay, we can do that 3rd lesson, I think. A guest for the 1st session would be Alex Quicho, and the 4th session, let's keep it open. I really like Ondřej Trhoň. He's my PhD student here at the Academy of Fine Arts, and he's part of this collective called No Fun, and it's a purely queer or like non-binary gaming collective that popularizes gaming, does festivals, exhibitions. They are even kind of won the Jindřich Chalupecký Award, which is like the Turner Prize of Czech Republic in a way. But so we can ask him. But apart from that, of course, I think I have a really good relation with tons of other intriguing guests. We could even ask Ingo Nierman, if he has time. We can ask DJ Demos, Daniel Vasten. But I think like even better would be to see Lee Fan himself or somebody from Total Refusal. Anything like maybe you feel awkward in like voting, or maybe you feel awkward to put your preference on top of preference of all other participants, but you may just say, yeah, that's fine, or no, I want this or that guest, or yeah, the reading you mentioned, we could bend it other way. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm not reading the chat. Yeah, thank you for the link on the Fab. Yes, please, Alex. Okay. Sure. Yeah, Marco Rosso would be really nice also as well. Nice. Okay. We're already past 5. Is there any question or punchline to like, end up on like a good note?
I would love to discuss about the body with, sorry, my baby's here, but the body with more organs.
Yeah. Well, my understanding of that is that the post-structuralist dream was to get rid of the body. Body is what traps us. Like it traps you into a gender. Yeah, like you are a man, you have to behave this or that way, and so the body is maybe like the utmost whatever lens through which we are made as social beings and subject to power relations, and therefore like the Deleuzian, Guattarian, becoming philosophy is to do away with the organs and to explore the body without organs. Organs are for Deleuze like in very, very simply said functions, by this function, that function, by paying taxes, by working, by behaving politely, by behaving like a man. our bodies are filled with organs to the extent that there's not much, you know, space for freedom. So like the kind of Deleuzian hallucination is to get rid of organs and enjoy the molecular freedom. Okay. And I believe that Ingo Nierman is saying something like basically reverse, that maybe transcending the anthropocentric condition is not by getting rid of organs, but rather having different organs. Okay, so body with more and more organs. And I believe if you look at like current, you know, queer identity politics, it's not really about like, you know, being more, you know, striated space, being more rhizomatic, being more abstract, being more less detectable. You know, it's rather really about accepting this affection and that sexual, you know, feature or orientation and that sexual feature. So I think like his view on the monadic age is like accepting more and more organs, including those non-anthropocentric organs.
That's really cool. It makes me think of glitch feminism.
Yes, yes. Definitely. But glitch feminism is a bit too easy for our lesson. Let's stick to more crazy text. Okay. I totally get you may not be so, you know, eager to like, you know, put on the camera and talk and discuss, but you see that I really want you to talk, you know, and you can think until next time, you can even think about like what is actually your agenda here and what are your questions that you want to push. We still have 3 more sessions, you know, and so don't really hesitate in that regard. We have, of course, like you may have even feeling that there's way too much, you know, particularly if I always like look at this board, there's just too much things, you know, but doesn't matter. Like we are living in the dark, colorful version of the dark forest. We can get lost, and it may be far more creative than actually following some sort of authoritative path and reading this and that particular text, you know. I really I haven't said the word poaching today. I was trying to limit myself, but you know that in the zero or the initial session, I really relied heavily on this kind of, you know, post-situationist or Michel Deserto like, you know, strategy of poaching. You know, gaming is a harsh industry. The world is like a very harsh place at the moment. Okay, so we can't really wait for promotion. We can't really wait to be like full-fledged game developers or to have like a team of other professionals. No, we have to actually change the scale. We have from strategies to tactics, you know, or what Alex Quicho, you know, somehow denotes tactical passivity. And we need to be fast. We need to move around the territory, and we have to use any resources possible. Okay, and that's my kind of, you know, guerrilla take on Unreal Engine. Okay, this is it. No punchline. Yeah. So sorry, don't I hope I don't feel like I'm completely obsessed by resumation, but still, next time we should read Strickler and Bogna, okay? And watch Leofan and maybe even Total Refusal, particularly Hardly Working, but any video. All of their videos are on their website. They're amazing, you know, they're very anti-capitalist in a way, in a very friendly 101 vulgar way. They call themselves the media, you know, the pseudo-Marxist media guerrilla. I really love their this self-description, you know, pseudo-Marxist media guerrilla. That's what they are. So all their videos are online. You can watch them. If I really hope that's gonna be fun. We don't have to, you know, call it a homework, but let's have Bogna, Yensi, Total Refusal, and Leofan. Okay, I know it may be a lot, but it's gonna give us so much broth to cook with, you know, in 2 weeks. Is everything clear? Is everything sound? You have anything to close the session with? Insofar as you're interested in the second screen, it's one of my concepts. I've never heard it, like a second screen theory. Of course, the second screen is like a very simple term how to somehow describe our completely displaced, attention. And I'm so into that. Like at the moment, I have literally 3 screens in front of me, and I have my modular electronics here and my library everywhere the place. But I really enjoy like consuming more media channels at once, that's just my thing, and you don't have to share that. You may feel that's horrible, pulling up your cell phone during a performance in a gallery or something. Just totally, by the way, Claire Bishop has amazing book called Disordered Attention about this phenomenon in terms of performative art and contemporary art. But nonetheless, I feel like there has been so much said in terms of attention economy. When I started to use the term in my research, it was like everybody was like, "Wow, that's too neologic," whatever. And these days, it's like everybody knows that attention economy is like the issue we all face. And but I feel like nobody kind of realized what I think there are many researchers or scholars addressing the impact on our social lives, on our communication, consumption of media, consumption of art, but I think nobody actually took seriously the connection between philosophy and this disordered attention. Okay, so you can actually do something for me. You can review my text for my potential Substack, where I really want to name the entire Substack a second screen philosophy. And I really want to dedicate the Substack to this kind of quasi methodology of theory making after internet and after, Unreal Engine and so on. So hopefully this gives you at least a very broad basic idea about what I feel or what I think about second screen philosophy. Yeah, you can use this email. That's definitely online. I don't mind you even using my Instagram, Jank Space, yes. Oh, the total refusals, they are already part of the doc. I'm sorry, I may have overburdened the docs file with materials. Yeah, I should add it to the respective session. I think I've added them only to game art examples. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's been lovely. It has not been so interactive as I kind of expected, but there has been like more, there has been many concepts on the Unreal floor. Apart from these 4 things, Bogna, Yancy, Leifan, Total Refusal, you see, I keep adding, additive lifestyle, totally. You can explore Unreal yourself. Maybe you can just continue because I still feel. Let me see what I think about it because I'm also like very tired of this map. I'm really tired of this shooting gameplay, but I still felt like this is like the most advanced template in Unreal Engine. So let's explore it. But most likely we'll continue in this map. So get crazy with it. You can just with the copy C, copy V method, you can go, like anywhere. And next week, hopefully, you will be able even to share your, experiences and what have you done. And maybe even we can start with some sort of like, showdown or some sort of marketplace of ideas and what you have been able to do with Unreal. Okay. Is that fine? You have enough tips for me? Cool. It's 17:24, so I feel it's kind of legitimate to maybe end our session.
Okay. Thank you so much. See you guys
Thank
next time.
Yeah, see you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.